Welcome to lesson 4 on the general form of the equation of the line. This is still on the unit linear functions. So what is a general form of a line? We're going to skip the introduction problems here because we're going to repeat some of the examples here. The general form of the equation of the line is in the form ax plus by plus c all equal to 0, where all the other expressions are all on one side and what is on the other side is just 0. Now take note that in the general form, a, b, and c are just integers. If you can recall what integers are, integers mean we should not be seeing any fractions there or decimals. It can be positive or negative numbers as well. So a, b, and c should be just integers there, no fractions. And a, we want to make a, which is the number beside x, always positive. So general form is just another form of a line where we write it as a notation that has specific characteristics, which is in this case all of these characteristics that I have mentioned. How do we write an equation of the line in general form? Well, we're given first description and we have to write the equation of the line. So there are two ways to write an equation of the line. First, if we know the slope and the y-intercept, we can use the form y equals mx plus b. Second, if we don't know the y-intercept, but we know a point and a slope on the line, then we can write the equation of the line as y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. After we started in either of these two things, again, these two things can dictate to us where do we start with based on the information that we're given. And after we figure that out, we can write the equations of the line either in this starting form here or this starting form into a general form. And the general form is described over here. So let's look at letter C here, for example, and say, what is the equation of the line in general form here? So I want to do it in two ways. First one, I ask myself, can I write the equation of the line in this form first? Okay, so this is method A. So for me to figure out the equation of the line in this form, I have to ask myself, do I know B here? So if I'm going to go, yeah, I know actually B is -3. Remember, B is the y-intercept. And do I know the slope? The slope is going up 3 and to the left 1. So my slope is +3 over -1. So it's +3 over -1, or that's equal to -1. So the equation of my line here is y equal to this is not -1, this is -3. -3. So that's y equals -3x minus 3. So it's y equals mx plus b. So in this case, this is now the equation of my line in the slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form. That would be my equation of the line. How do we write it in general form? So first of all, we want to put everything all on one side. So it's either I'm going to put the y on this side here, so nothing is left on this side, or it's either I put all these guys on the other side so that nothing is left on the right side. Either way should be correct. So the easiest of all of this, obviously, is to put y on the other side because we're only going to move one expression. So if you move here on the other side, it becomes -y here and -y on the other side as well. So get rid of this. This is equal to 0, and this is -3x minus 3 minus y. Now, one of the criteria of the general form is there should be no fractions. So here we're happy because there are no fractions in our given. And what another criteria is that, okay, where's my page here? Lost my page. Another criteria is that your a value, which is the number beside x, should always be positive. So if we go to our line here and say, what is the number beside x? The number beside x is -3. So it's a negative number. How do we make it positive? We can multiply the entire equation by -1. So we'll multiply 0 by -1. It's still 0. We need to make this positive, so we multiply it by -1. So this would be positive 3x. This would be positive 3, and that would be positive y. So again, what did we do here? We multiply every single thing by -1 because the general form tells us that x there should be positive. If x is already positive, there is no need for us to multiply it by -1. So the equation of the line in general form is 3x plus y plus 3 is equal to 0. I just switched things around, but that should be okay. So here we are. Okay? Now, what if we have method A and we didn't use the y equals method B, and we didn't use y equals mx plus b, but we use y minus y1 equal to mx minus x1. So how do we do that? So in order for us to do that, we need to pick another point in the graph. So I picked this point here. This point is -3, 6. So let's pick that point as -3, 6. And we know for a fact that your slope is -3. We already know what the slope is. So y minus y1, well, my y1 is 6, equal to x minus x1, which is -3. So continuing on with this process, with -3, I want to do minus a negative first and convert it to a plus. And this is my equation in the point slope form. Okay, that's point slope form. So for us to convert it into a general form, we're going to do a little bit of expanding here. So y minus 6, multiply these two, -3x, -3 times +3 is -9. And general form, putting them all on the other side. So we're going to put these guys over here and this over here because the general form should be equal to 0 on one side. So y minus 6, if we put the -3x on this side, which means we add 3x. And if we put the -9 on the other side, which means we add 9 because we have to undo the operation. So the last thing would be 3x plus y, -6 plus 9 is just +3 equal to 0. So as you can see, this gives you an idea that whatever you start with, whether you start with y equals mx plus b or y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1, towards the end, if we write the equation in general form, you're going to end up with the same line. So example 1, how do we write an equation general form, an equation in general form to an equation which is the slope-intercept form, and how do we graph it from there? So as you can see, this equation here is in the general form. So to write it in the slope-intercept form, so to convert it into y equals mx plus b, we're going to leave y by itself. So here we can say, let's write it down, 2x minus y plus 3 is equal to 0. If we're going to leave y by itself, well, the easiest way to do it is I'm going to put the y on the other side. So I'm going to add y over here. So then what's left here is 2x plus 3 because y will be canceled out here, and 0 plus y is just equal to y. So our equation would be, I'm just going to write it like this, y equals 2x plus 3. So now it's the same form as y equal to mx plus b. Your m here is 2 and your b here is 3. which means your graph is gonna hit the y-axis at 3. And from there, we will be finding another point by using your slope. Your slope is written as 2/1, which means this is your rise, and this is your run. So how do we write that down? Rise 2, 1, 2, and run 1. Rise 2 and run 1, rise 2 and run 1. So our equation would look like this. Let's do example 2 here, and we're gonna graph it using the x and the y intercepts this time. So if you can recall, example 1 here, we graph this general form by converting it first to y equals mx plus b, and from there we identified m and your b and graph the line from there. Another way to graph our line is to convert it or find, the x and the y intercepts. So let's do the ones here with fractions. Fractions are a bit really hard to manipulate, so if we have the opportunity to get rid of the fractions, let's do it. So in this case, we have denominator 5 and denominator 2. To get rid of the fraction, we have to multiply your lowest common multiple of 5 and 2, which is in this case 10. So your LCM of 5 and 2 is 10. 10 is the number that would get rid of the fraction, and we'll show that later in our step here. So if we multiply every single thing here by 10, this would be 10 times 1/5 x minus 10 times 1/2 y minus 10 times 1 equal to 10 times 0. Well, 10 times 0 is just 0. 10 times 1 is just 10. Here, we can cancel this out and say 10 divided by 5 is just 2, so that's actually 2x. Minus 10 divided by 2 is 5, so that's actually minus 5y. Or you can just multiply 1/5 times 10, and then you can also multiply 10 times 1/2. So now our equation is a little bit easy to manipulate now. Now, how do we graph this general form of the line? So the first way that we can do it is using the example that we did in example 1. A second way to do it is using the intercepts. We did intercepts in our previous unit, relations and functions. So let's recall how we did that. So first, we can figure out what is your x-intercept. Our x-intercept happens when y is 0. So let's take our equation. Our equation is 2x minus 5y minus 10 equal to 0. If we let y equal to 0, so this whole thing here is gone. So then we can get rid of that and say 2x minus 10 is equal to 0. We add 10 on both sides. So 2x is equal to 10. Divide both sides by 2, so x is equal to 5. So what does that mean? When x is 5, y is 0. Or your graph crosses the x-axis at 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our point 5, 0. How do we find your y-intercept? So you can recall y-intercept happens when x is 0. So let's copy your general form of the line here. When x is 0, so this is gone because 2 times 0 is 0. Then what's left is just negative 5y minus 10 equal to 0. We add 10 on both sides. So negative 5y is equal to 10. Divide both sides by negative 5. Your y there is equal to negative 2. So what does that mean? Your graph crosses the y-axis at -2. So your graph will be over here. So let's put the point first. The point is at when x is 0, y is at -2. So it's right here. Yeah, so then we'd be able to graph the line by just connecting the two. So number 3 here is we're going to determine the general form of each line using the graph below that you have. So in order for us to write an equation of the line, we got to start by either choosing y equals mx plus b or y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1, which is the point slope form. So obviously y equals mx plus b is an easier form of the equation. However, if b is not available for us to identify, we can't do or use the equation y equals mx plus b. We can actually use it, but we're going to do some manipulation that a different way of writing down the equation of the line using also y equals mx plus b. But I would encourage you to obviously explore when to best use the y equals mx plus b and when to best use the y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. So here in this case, do I know your m? Well, yeah, I know my m. I just need 2 points, and then I can calculate 1, 2. So go up by 1 and to the right 2. So I know my slope is 1/2. Do I know my b? Here's my b. I don't exactly know my b. I can see that it's probably just halfway those 2 points, but I'm not really sure. So in this case, b is not a good, y equals mx plus b would not be a good option for us to do, although we can also still use that by manipulating it a little bit differently. But in this case then, I need to identify a point in your graph so that I can use the y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1 formula. So in this case, I'm going to choose this point here. This point is 7, -2. So now after choosing that point, I am now going to write the point slope form of my line. So this is y minus your y1 is -2, your m is 1/2, and your x sub 1 is 7. So this I can write as +2, and then I could do 1/2 x minus 7. Now, what I need to do is to write this in general form, so there should be no fractions involved there. One thing that I could do is to get rid of the fraction first by multiplying this by not by 7, but by 2. So I can get rid of the 1/2. So I can get rid of that. And what's left is just 1 in brackets x minus 7 on one side. But take note that if I multiply one side with 2, I also need to multiply the other side with 2. So take note that we put this all in brackets. We have 2 times y is 2y. 2 times 2 is +4. And then we can say that 1 times all of these expression is just the same expression. So now we don't have any more fractions. The last step that we need to do is put them all on one side because the general form tells you to put them all in one side. So I can put the x here and the 7 here on this side. So this would be 2y plus 4. Remember, if you're putting it all on one side, you're doing the opposite operation. So it's minus x plus 7 equal to 0. I can say 2y minus x plus 4 and 7 is 11 equal to 0. The last thing that I need to know is my x positive? Well, my x is not positive but negative. So what I can do is I can switch every sign around. So this would be x minus 2y minus 11 equal to 0. Again, what are we doing there? We're actually just multiplying it by -1. So now this is the equation in general form. What about number 2? Okay, letter B here, we can check first what would be our slope. So our slope, let's pick 2 points, this point and this point here. Okay, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I'm going up 8 and 1, 2, 3. I go to the left 3. So my slope is -3. Can I identify my b? Yeah, here. This is my b. My b is actually -8. So in this case, I can use y equals mx plus b. So it will be y equals mx plus b. So y is 8 over -3x minus 8. Now, I need to get rid of the fraction. So I multiply everything by, I can multiply everything by -3, no problem. So -3 times y is -3y. -3 times -3 here cancels it out. It will be positive 8x. And -3 times -8 is positive 24. Please take note of those positives and negatives as well as multiplication. So I did this, okay? I multiply everything. So now I need to put all the terms on one side, so it's easier for me to put the y over here. So this becomes 0. This becomes 8x plus 24. And then if we put that -3y on the other side, it will be positive 3y. So now you ask yourself the question, do you have any fractions? No. Is x positive? Yes. So then we already have written it down correctly in general form. Example 5 is an appliance store is having a sale on fans and lamps. Fan costs $10 and lamp costs $20. At the end of the day, there was a revenue of $120. So if X is the number of fans that were sold, X is the number of fans that were sold. Let's not use this one here. Sold, and Y is the number of lamps sold. The revenue or the sales would be equal to 10 times the number of fans sold plus 20 times the number of lamps sold is actually equal to $120. So 10x tells us we sold X fans for $10 each. We sold Y lamps for $20 each. At the end, we added all of those sold items, and that equals to $120. So there's no dependent and independent variable here. Our equation now would be 10x plus 20 is equal to 120. So how do we graph this equation? We can actually graph this equation using the x and the y intercept. So if we graph this equation, 10x plus 20y equal to 120, then we can say that if x is equal to 0, this is your y-intercept. If x is equal to 0, then we say 20y is equal to 120 because x will be here 0 here. So this will all be gone, and then divided by both sides by 20, so y is equal to 6. So when x is 0, y is equal to 6. What about we have x-intercept? So 10x plus 20y equal to 120. X-intercept happens when your y is 0. So in this case, this guy is gone. 10x is equal to 120. Divide both sides by 10, x is equal to 12. So when your x is 12, y is actually equal to 0. So let's put that here. Our x a while ago is the number of fans sold. So we're going to use this graph here. So this is our x. And our y is the number of lamps sold. So that would be your y. So in this case, we can sell 0 fans and 6 lamps right here. So we can have 0, 6. So it's over here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or we can also have 12, comma 0. Again, this relationship is fans to lamps. 12, comma 0. Okay, and if we join the two lines here, we can think about all the points that are possible in there can be possible combinations of the fans and lamps that we have sold. But again, we're not going to make it a continuous line because we can't sell 1.5 fans. So let's try then. If we sold, let's actually put them all on one line and see where we are. So it looks like your line here, I want to use a straight edge here so that we can, oops. Let's see if I can do this really quickly. All right, let's see if I can, if we can identify some points here. Does this point exist? This point is 2, comma 5. So 2, comma 5 fans and lamps. Is that possible to sell 2 fans and 5 lamps? So 2 fans, a fan is $10, right? So 2 fans is $20 plus 5 lamps, which is 5 times 20, which is 100. So yes, that is possible because our point is existing. This is also probably possible. This is 4 fans and 4 lamps. So 4 fans and 4 lamps would give us $40 plus 4 times 20 is 80, so that's also 120. So that's also a possibility. So we probably would know now what is our pattern. We can also sell 6 fans and 3 lamps, 8 fans and 2 lamps, 10 fans and 1 lamp, and then 12 fans and no lamps. Okay, that ends our section on general form.